Good evening. So we shall continue our reflection about Great Lent, possibilities, interpretations, and what's going on throughout these days, 40 days. But to be frank, in the Middle East, in the Byzantine tradition, and the Syriac Semitic traditions, there are 40 days. 40 is like a sample. You can see a lot of connections. And the last 10 days that lead to the resurrection of the Lord with the Holy Week. The question is that during the fourth week of Great Lent, we consider the teaching of St. John Climacus, St. John the Latter, the man who was with a climax, but it means to climb a scale. And it's quite moving, by the way, because when you face the square of the Holy Sepulchre, you see a ladder, a very small ladder, that allowed the Armenians to get the food in times of famines. So you see a ladder, and a ladder supposedly allows you to go up and then, of course, to go down, but the main purpose for ladder is to mount, to go up, to be climbing, to reach always higher. And this is definitely what we want to do in our lives. You can see some people who would say, well, I'm really far too modest. I'm a small man, woman. I'm really devoted to God. I have no ambition. Well, be careful with these. It hides always something. Or you may meet people like these, but even in their sort of cheapness is rough. They will get a way to be on the top. We are controlling this desire always to jump higher, and our life is a steeplechase. It's like, steeplechase with horses, and horses go. In the Middle East, we have camels. In England, they have dogs. So people want to be first. But when you want to be first, it may be very awkward. And it is the case of dear James, Yaakov, of the Old Testament, of Genesis, the son of Yitzchak and Rivka. And Rivka, this is quite important to know, women support men. A man is what a woman wants him to be. This is true in sociology, but you can check it around you. Very often, you look at the wife and you understand who is the husband. The wife knows what is good for her husband. And the mother is worse. She's more capable to make it real. She has more experience, of course. So what happened? Poor old Yitzhak, who didn't really love his wife Rivka. This is interesting. You have like steps in the perfection of love and consciousness that love exists. Abraham was with Sarah, but they liked each other. They were at home together, but you can't speak of love. Yitzhak found at the well a nice woman, Rivka, and the servant brought her to Yitzhak, and she pleased to Yitzhak, and she pleased also to the parents, mostly to Rivka. Rebecca wanted that to marry Yitzhak. So all over the life of people who at that time were still very tribal, all the children were born in Aram, which means being in Acharin, Mesopotamia. The first of their descendants who was born in the land of Israel is Benjamin. Till then, they were a sort of tribal people. You marry among ours. We send you home, the place we come from, and we agree that you will marry this or this woman. And Yaakov is a kind of poor man, kind of a putz, we say in Yiddish. Doesn't really knows how to get through. He intended, because he really loved Rachel, but Laban told him, well, you will work for me 7 years and get Leah, and then you will be able to marry Rachel. And when it happened that he had to start a new 7-year period, he said, well, yeah, work 7 more years and you will get Rachel, the one you belong. This is the kind of Yaakov, which means something very, very important. How to say, things are not really secured. You think you plan your life, you think you are, how to say, not a mummy's son, but you expect salvation from your mom or from your wife, and God will admit it, bless it, even if you came to cheat God himself. For example, well, why should he transform himself into his brother and took the right of being the first birthright, of being the firstborn. He cheated God and his father. And it remained in force, which is very interesting because it means that wrong things can be accepted. It is a symbol that somewhere you can cheat God. Very often, Judaism experienced throughout history the paradox of a profound desire from the non-Jews to take their place, to replace them in their birthright as God's chosen ones. And Israel usurped for a dish in the case and got a blessing with false whore. The paradox is that it worked, and Yaakov really got his father's blessing. The price certainly implies accepting to walk on earth and taking risks. Paul of Tarsus wrote that to the Israelites are the adoption, the glory, the covenant, the giving of the law, the worship, and the promises, as stated in the Epistle to the Romans, chapter 9, verse 4. Jealousy, fanatic zeal can lead to think that covenant bearers can be replaced. This is the present challenge of the churches to recognize the full coherence and positive call of the house of Israel. It will take time. It's not evident. Well, you were away for 2,000 years. Why do you come back? And you kick people away. It's not fair. In return, the Jewish community should approach the churches that have been abiding the Holy Land with more interrogations and insights. There is a real challenge of what covenant are, what it means to be consecrated as a son of the covenant, and in the Talmudic view, son of the first, the one that links the realm of above and the realm of beneath, who is teaching and transmitting without excluding. And this is why Jacob's dream at Bethel is so important, significant. The Jewish tradition considers that he was b'makom, in the place that moves up and raises kum. It seems he had the dream at Mount Moriah. Maybe. We don't know exactly. And the dream dealt with a vision of the temple. Then how can we understand the vision of the ladder at the present? Souls going up and ascending to heaven, or angels in the process of coming down from heaven and bring the souls up, educating them, and then taking them down to rest or to sleep. And in between, some demons dive along the scale. The gematria, calculation systems applied to letters, reminds that the Hebrew sulam, which is ladder, has a numerical value of 110, which is similar to Sinai. As stated in Midrash Bereshit Rabbah 28. This means that the Jewish tradition connects Yaakov's vision of ladder, the laying of a stone on that very place, as a sign of life beyond the living and the death. It's also considered as a balance between up and down, ascending and descending, perpetual move, and the specificity of the burning bush in the Sinai that tops any sort of adversity, hatred, estrangement. Sin'ah means in Hebrew, Sin'ah is like Sinai, but has one more letter and means enmity, future. Struggle for life is current to say, well, the struggle consists of a harsh and often very cruel and intimate fight against evil. It usually leads to victory over egos. And we are in a period of egos. But who is the latter? The souls, the angels that serve back and forth from the throne of glory till the end of the universe that we still cannot measure. Is Yaakov in person facing his own fate made of stealth, goodwill, cheating situations? Human nature in general is always ready to acquire, capture, plunder others, and supersede the privileges. You want something, I will get it, or I will hold it, control it. The latter resembles the wrestling combat that Yaakov had as a quavering fight with himself, his own identity, and some divine presence. This week, he travails in order to get married and be given some sheep. Because if you marry, well, you have a wife, but also you need sheep, cattle, make a living. And the problem is spanning today. As in most ancient days in Canaan, same frightening, awesome situations, gregarious anguish, anxieties. Anguish is comparable to our throat, like when we cannot eat, drink, or breathe in. We are facing the same. It doesn't mean that centuries scroll ahead without changing the meaning of time and history. There was a money crash in antiquity, in the Middle Ages until now. Techniques, remedies remain quite the same and basically are rather simple to understand. The keys are the same. The world is going through terrible troubles and this. So we are safer in Israel than in many other countries in the world. Yaakov's Israel is still in the pangs of birth, in some childhood, 3 generations away from the Aramaic context of Mesopotamia. And it often behaves like spoiled children too. They had to face death, cruelty. But in some way, it makes sense. Mass murders, the frights of nights, hunger, corruption, poverty, growing fields, poisoning flowers, raping bodies and souls, didn't start with modern techniques and connections. This is what we shall continue to check on the way to the mystery of resurrection. May the Lord bless you all. Yivrecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav alecha v'yechoneika, Yasei Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha. Shalom. All the best. Pantakala.